Hello, thank you for joining. We will begin at 5 after the hour to allow for attendees to finish joining and connecting to the audio. Thank you very much. Hello, thank you for joining. We will begin at 5 after the hour to allow for attendees to finish joining and connecting to audio. Thank you. Hello, thank you for joining. We will begin at 5 after the hour to allow for attendees to finish joining and connecting to the audio. Thank you. Hello, thank you for joining. We will begin at 5 after the hour to allow for other attendees to finish joining and connecting to the audio channel. Thank you. Hello, thank you for joining. We will begin at 5 after the hour to allow for other attendees to finish joining and connecting to the audio. Thank you. Hello, thank you for joining. We will begin at 5 after the hour to allow for other attendees to finish joining and connecting. Thank you.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our ShareFile admin training. We're here on the Customer Success Management team and are happy to go over the ShareFile setup, best tricks, and tips today. Before we get started, depending on the licensing that you purchased, the tool may be called Content Collaboration, Citrix Files, or even ShareFile. The tool features are all the same, but just to avoid confusion as we're going through the presentation, we will use all three namings. We also have added our reference guide, so as we go through the slide deck today, you'll note that the reference guide is listed as a resource on the control panel here within GoToWebinar. So all the linked material that we go through today, you'll have access to even after the session today. We will also be taking questions throughout the presentation, so as you have questions, please enter them into the questions box also on your GoToWebinar control panel. You'll be able to enter in questions as we go, but we'll wait until the end of the presentation to go through all of the questions then. Feel free to ask for us to deep dive any of the features or even ask a question about a topic that maybe we haven't touched. We'll be more than happy to re-review or deep dive into that feature. For today's session, our presenters are Megan DeKramer, Senior Program Manager of Customer Success, Kruti Karsane, Senior Product Manager of Admin Experience, and our technical guru, Jose Yulico, Customer Success Manager in the Americas. So let's go over the agenda. First, we'll go over account setup, locating the welcome email and sign-in. We'll also go over your personal settings, security features, and also our prerequisite checklist that you'll want before implementing the tool. After, we'll go to features inside the tool, so admin settings and your folder structure. And then we'll go into creating employee users and creating clients. We'll finish up the presentation going over reporting and then also our ShareFile migration tool. Account setup. All right, Jose, ready to go through our account setup?
Hi, Megan. Yes, thank you. So first things first, the admin of the account should be receiving a welcome email, and this is the initial email that ShareFile sends to the account owner or administrator. Depending on the version that you guys have, you should see something like this. But the important thing is that the account administrator should just click on Activate ShareFile in order to activate the account and start using ShareFile. Now, in case that you ever need assistance on activating your account or you misplace the email, you can always refer to the resource available in order to get assistance. For the login page, what you should know is that all you have to do will be to enter just your email address and the password that you set up once you activated your account. And in the case that you forgot your password, you can always click on the Forgot Password link, which is down below the Sign In button, which will then allow you to enter the email address that you use for registration, and then you will be receiving the instructions on how to reset your own password for ShareFile there on that email address. Now, personal settings.
Perfect. I'm glad to go through personal settings. So our personal settings, we have 5 different settings. We have Edit Your Profile, which is where you can go and easily change your password. You can update your email address and even update email notifications. We also have Personal Security. So this is where you can update your 2-step verification for your phone or any device, mobile device that you have to provide an extra layer of security. We also have connectors and advanced connectors, where connectors allow you to connect to other additional cloud service tools. Then finally, we have My Apps and Devices. You can lock a user account on any device to prevent this user from accessing the ShareFile data within your account. This is very important for security. So speaking of security, let's then go into security features.
Thanks, Megan. So let's talk a little bit about security. One of the pillars that we continuously build upon with ShareFile is security. We believe that securing data is critical to every business, whether that be a small business or an enterprise. Hence, building security with intention is a responsibility taken seriously by our team. Here are some quick ways that we add a layer of security to our tools. So the first one is, if you're in a specific industry that requires compliance, we have the ability to provide you with a HIPAA, FINRA, or CFPB compliant ShareFile account. The second one is that all of our data centers are SOC 2 compliant and SSAE 16 compliant. Number 3 is we strive to maintain the 3 nines uptime so that your day-to-day business operations do not get interrupted due to lack of availability. 4, we provide storage recovery around the globe. And then 5, we support TLS 1.0, 1.1, and 1.2. These are some encryption protocols and algorithms used by e-commerce services and online banking. In addition, we store your at-rest data with AES 256-bit encryption. As we just reviewed, with growing concerns about data security, particularly in regulated industries such as healthcare and finance, protecting how you communicate and share files with clients isn't something to take lightly. Security can seem almost commoditized these days, expected even, but encryption isn't just for files these days. With ShareFile, you can encrypt the body of an email message and all attachments with one click, right from Microsoft Outlook or any web browser. With this all-in-one encrypted email solution, you can streamline communication and simplify the way you handle your sensitive data or protected data. It's secure file sharing taken to the next level. Here are 2 ways ShareFile makes encrypted email easier. 1, encrypted email within Microsoft Outlook, and then 2, encrypted email from any browser.
Thank you, Kruti. So now let's talk about what are the ways that ShareFile gives to administrators in order to manage that security. First, we have the option to set the password settings, which will basically allow you as an administrator to set a minimum password length, the quantity of numbers that you will require, and even quantity of special characters that might be required. You can also set up the expiration time in days for the password to work, and then the quantity of previous unique passwords that you will allow on the account. At the bottom, you will have a summary of all of these password policies that you have just applied to the account. So another of the security settings are the login and security settings. We have there the trust domains, two-step verification, and trusted device. The trust domains is basically a simple way to allow requests between your own websites and ShareFile to be enabled. Two-step verification is going to give you the flexibility to set policies for a specific user group to use the two-step verification process and provide an extra layer of security on your account. And trusted device will allow you to have clients avoiding entering many verification codes because it will simply just ask to trust this device. Also, we have the account locked out configuration, which is going to allow you to set your own policy for managing multiple failed login attempts. Terms and conditions, which will allow you to prompt your users to accept ShareFile terms and conditions. And if you want to enable this feature, please reach out to our support team. And we also have the IP restrictions, which will allow you to have control over access to your ShareFile domain. As an example, you can restrict IP address ranges outside of your network. You can blacklist or whitelist a specific IP address to ensure that your ShareFile account is not accessed from any specific IP address. If you want to enable this policy, please contact our support team. SAM and single sign-on. The single sign-on is a feature that we have available here. So in order for you to use your Active Directory credentials or allow your employees to use them in order to log into ShareFile. If you're interested on having this feature, please reach out to our support or consult the resource that we have available.
All right, so let's get to the admin settings first. So in order to go there from your left panel, while you're on the dashboard or anywhere on the ShareFile, just click on Settings and then Admin Settings. Over here, we will have the basic information that the account administration will be able to access. So we have the admin view where you can find all the information regarding the access, the admin information, who's the owner of the account, and how the account is being used, the licenses. We also have the background operations. This is basically a place where you will be able to see all the operations that are on queue. As an example, when you're uploading or downloading something or syncing files. We also have the company account information here. We will have sections to go over the reporting, where you can actually get reports on how the account is being used, notification history, also where you can get more information on notifications there on ShareFile, and edit account branding, where you can actually customize your ShareFile page, login page, and even the emails that are sent through ShareFile. We also have the security option here, where you will be able to get more information on data loss prevention, right? The password requirements, where you will be able to actually set your own parameters. So as an example, you can set the minimum password length, how many numbers the password should contain, and how many special characters as well. At the bottom, you will have a summary on all the policies that you have just applied to your passwords. We also have the login security policy, where you will be able to set trusted domains, two-step verification, and account logged out verification. We also have the option to configure device security, where you will be able to set how the devices will be connected to ShareFile. So these are for advanced administrators to configure how securely do they want to have their users using the device. Finally, we have the edit super users group, and this is to allow some of the employees to have access to all folders account-wide, right? And it is important to note that this membership, it only applies to folders, not to account properties, right? Going forward, we also have the policy section, where you can get the policy management, and you can basically set up policies for group to be managed. So the different groups might have different policies, and you can apply and add people or remove people from those groups. We also have the connector section, where you can actually set up if you want to allow your users to have different connectors there working with their ShareFile account. Storage zones. This is in case that you have multiple storage zones, some managed by Citrix and others that you could manage locally or on premises.
All right, thank you, Jose. So now we'll go into the prerequisites. So when beginning to set up ShareFile, there are prerequisites to implementation. These are key considerations that you'll want to review before you start to set up the tool for your users. Our customer success team has built a prerequisite checklist to guide you through everything that you need to consider in terms of your storage zone, file security, compliance, and user management. So these are all of the technical prerequisites that you'll need to then start setting it up. You'll want to make sure to go through each step in the guide to make sure that you've considered your entire environment, and then you'll be able to go through the implementation guide that is also listed on our Customer Success Center. Once you have implementation, you'll be ready to go through the tool and make sure that all of the settings are correct. That's where we'll take a look at inside the tool. So first we'll go into folder structure. Jose?
Thank you, Megan. So yeah, the folder structure is very important to understand, because in ShareFile, in order for you to add users first, you need to make sure that you have created folders first. This is something that needs to be taken care of prior to start adding users. Now, let's discuss the admin settings. So for the admin settings, we have different other options than the ones that I mentioned. As an example, we have the background operations, which, as we mentioned, are where files are processed, will show their progress. Security, where the DLP will be configured. Policies will be where basically all of the group policies will be created to manage different groups. And the connectors, storage zone setup. All right, for admin advanced preferences, we have email settings, which will allow you to set how often and how the emails for ShareFile shares will be sent to the receivers. Also permissions, where you can set whether or not you will allow clients to share content that has been shared to them. Also, we have file settings, where you can set versioning and other settings that will be available for you regarding files. Enable ShareFile tools, where we'll be able to configure which applications will you allow to have your employees using, and also you will get there the configuration for the Outlook plugin. Folder templates, which will allow you to set a standardized structure of folders that can be used for employees and later be applied to any specific folder. Remote upload forms, which will allow you to embed a link on your website in order to have your clients logging in there and sharing, uploading files directly to you. File drops, which will allow you to put a link on your website so that your clients can click there and select which employee do they want to share a file with, so they can upload a file there, and also the configuration for the Outlook plugin, as I already mentioned. We also have advanced configurations regarding the Outlook plugin, where you will be able to set default configuration for how the employees will use this tool on their computers. You will be able to set on a specific attachment policy, link insertion policy. You will see some link options there that you can set as default, and also you can change how the encrypted email will behave account-wide. Other of the advanced preferences that we have available is the folder templates. That is going to save you some time by standardizing folder structure across the account, meaning that you will be able to create a specific folder structure that can be later be applied to any of the folders that have been created within your organization. This is a great way to standardize client or team folders across the account.
All right, now let's see the advanced preferences. So in order to get there, first I need to go to settings and then admin settings and advanced preferences. All right, under advanced preferences, I will have different options. As an example, email settings, which will allow me to configure how the communications will be sent through ShareFile. So I can send here if I want to send emails from ShareFile directly, or if I want them to be sent from the user that is sharing the file. Right? I can also configure the SMTP server settings here. You will get the instructions over here by clicking on the link. You could also get the option to notify their users on their own activity, right? So employees or clients will be receiving a notification about the actions that they perform with ShareFile. Upload receipts is basically just to configure an option to allow whoever is uploading something to receive an email confirmation about the file that they uploaded. Here you can configure how often you will be receiving email notifications on ShareFile as an employee. So you can, put a little bit less minutes here as a notification, or you can also configure the default language. You will be also able to add a secondary email address here to use on ShareFile. We also have the permissions option over here. Basically, it's for you to allow clients to share files that you have been sharing with them, right? By default, this is set to no. We also have the folder access list, which is basically an option to allow users that are added to a folder to see who else is added to that folder. By default, this is set to no. File settings is where we can actually work on different settings like the retention policy. So if you want to apply an account-wide policy for retention, this is where you can put it there. By default, this is no. Sorting, if you want to change how the files are sorted out on your folders view, this is the place where you can set this as an account-wide default. Versioning will allow you to either disable or enable the versioning option that ShareFile has, and change how many versions will you allow to have for specific files. Storage quota, if you want to enable the storage quota for users, then this is the default value that you can set. And anything which is exclusive for users that are using the Office 365 licenses, this is just for them to be able to edit online using ShareFile. We also have the Enable ShareFile Tools section, where you will be able to configure how do you want the applications to work with ShareFile. And I'm talking about the applications that ShareFile gives you. So we have the desktop apps, for example, and we also have here the Outlook plugin. So on the Outlook plugin, if you go there, you will be able to set default policies that will be mandatory for your employees to follow. So you can even prevent user changes, meaning that they won't be able to change those defaulted settings that you have applied account-wide. We also have the folder template section, where you will be able to create a folder structure that can later be applied to any of the folders that have been created under your account, therefore saving some time by just taking over an existing folder structure and applying it. We also have the remote upload forms, which is basically going to allow you to create an HTML code that is going to be able to be placed on your website, where your clients should be able to go there and just upload a file while also filling out a form that can be customized by you. We also have the file drops, which is basically going to allow you to put a link on your website that is going to make it possible for your clients to upload a file and select to which of your employees that file should go to. And this file will go directly to that specific file box for that specific employee that they selected.
Great, thank you, Jose. So now let's go into licensing and managing employees and client users.
Thank you, Megan. So first things first will be creating employees. Now, in order to create employees, there are 3 basic steps that you need to follow. The first one will be to add the user information, and then basically make sure that this person email address is correct spelled, because they will be receiving a welcome email to activate their own account. Now, the step 2 will be the user settings. User settings is where the administrator or the person that is creating this employee will have to set which accesses does this person have or will this employee have in their account. We recommend to set default values in case that you have doubts. Okay, and step 3 will be basically to set up the folder accesses. At this point, we will be able to either assign this specific employee or user to a folder. We will be able to add them to a distribution group, or we will be able to also copy access from an existing user in order to clone those access to this specific employee. Share file will allow you to have different ways to control who is accessing this content. So regarding that, we have to make a distinction on the ways that you can manage the account. We have master admins, which will be users that have been granted the access that allow them to manage other users and some account-wide settings. We also have the super users, which is a group that has access to all the other users' content. The membership to this super users group does not grant account-wide admin policies. This is only affecting folder-wise. We also have the distribution groups, which is an easy way to manage groups that to give them access to specific files and folders instead of managing them individually. It also works when you want to send out a specific file or request a specific file to multiple users instead of individuals. So creating clients, you will be able to create clients in order to add them as users, client users on your ShareFile account, and then you will be able to allow them in any folder with a specific access that you might be set later. A client will not consume a license, as you can add as many as you want to. The only ones that will consume a license will be employee type users. You can create as many clients as needed, as I already mentioned. And also, you can add clients to your folders and manage their folder and access activity later on. Clients will only be able to see share folders that have been assigned to them. Those are folders that they have been granted permissions. And they will be only able to adjust their login details as part of the only configuration options that they have available. Clients will not be able to create any personal folders or to work anyhow within the account administration options.
Okay, excellent. Now let's add an employee to this account. So the first thing that I need to do will be to click on People and then Manage Users Home. Over here, I will have the option to create an employee. Now let's remember, every time that you create an employee, it's going to take one of your licenses. All right. The first thing that I will have to do will be to enter that person's information. All right. Once I'm done with that, I should be able to proceed with step 2, which is providing the user with the access that they need. So for employees, We strongly recommend to leave the default settings if you don't know what you're doing. But to give you a brief overview, you will be able to basically give them the rights to change their password, access their personal settings. They will be able to create root level folders in the share folder section. So this is important. If you don't want them to do this, just remove this option, which is given by default. They will have a personal file box, and we strongly recommend not to remove this one, right? Because it could affect other functions on ShareFile. You can see that down below, I will have the option to give them the way to manage clients, which is set by default, but also manage employees, which is recommended for people that will be taking administrative roles or other employees. They will be able to edit the shared address book as well by default, and you can even give them the access to change the account appearance, access reporting, and also get the billing information as well. They will be able also to be set with the option to create and manage their own connectors, SharePort connectors and network share connectors if you want them to have that option. And on the advanced preferences here, they will be able to manage folder templates and remote upload forms. For this demo, I would leave it with default options. On step 3, you will notice that now here is where I can actually assign this person to a specific folder, add this employee to a distribution group, or if I want to give this employee the access, exact same access from another user, right? So you will basically be cloning access from a reference user. So let me just assign a folder to this employee. And then what I'll need to do will be to set what kind of permissions do I want this employee to have on that specific folder. So by default, every user that you add to a folder will have view, download, and upload access to that folder. So if you want to give them this access is okay, or if you want to give them further access, you can, just give them the delete so they can delete items from there. Or the alerts, if you want this user to be notified whenever something is uploaded or downloaded. To be able to have the download alerts, they must be admins. So if that's what I wanted to do, I just going to set that up. Click on done. And you see that now it says create and continue, which I'm going to click on. And right now I will have pretty much a preview on the message that this employee is about to receive, right? All I have to do will be to modify the message as I want it. And when I'm ready, I'm just going to click on notify, and this will send an email to my employee. Now, let's create a client user so you see how it works. So I can either click on browse clients and click on create client, or I can go back on manage users home and create it from there, right? So okay, this time I will be creating a client user. So you will to notice that step 1 is pretty much the same thing, right? You will have to enter that person's information. And you're going to notice that on step 2, there's a huge difference because for a client type user, I'm only able to change whether or not do I want them to have the ability to change their own password and access their personal settings. So these are the only 2 options that you can set for a client type user, right? At step 3, I can basically have them assigned to a folder as I did with an employee type user. I can add them to a distribution group, right? Or I can just clone the access from one of the other users that I have. So as an example, if I was creating a new client from a company that I've been working on, and I want to clone the access for another client user from the same company that I already have on my account, I should be able to do that by selecting that option. So for this demo, I'm just going to create this user without signing into a folder, to a distribution group, or without cloning any type of access, right? I'm just going to continue anyway. And you're going to notice that this is a preview on the message that this client should be receiving, letting them know that they have been added to a ShareFile account. So I'm just going to notify, and there you go. The invitation has been sent.
Great, Jose. Now let's go into reporting.
Okay. For reporting, we just need to take in consideration the different kind of reports that ShareFile will allow you to get. So these are either ad hoc reports or recurring reports. The reports will be based on different characteristics that you might want to get info about. So as an example, you will be able to get reports on usage, access, or storage details, right? The reports will be generated in Excel format or CSV files, and you can set them out accordingly. The ShareFile data migration tool is a very useful tool that we have available, and it's basically going to allow you to move files from an on-premise location to your ShareFile account in the cloud. So basically, you will be able to select what data do you want to migrate from a local computer into the cloud, right? This works as for when you want to move big chunks of data, and also when you want to have a little bit more control of what kind of data is being migrated. As an example, you're going to notice that you will be able to transfer data plus permissions, and regarding the permissions, they can be mapped to either personal folders or shared folders. You will find more information on the how-to guide that is available on the resources.
Great, thank you, Jose. So now that we've come to this portion of our webinar, we would like to open up to any questions that may have come into the chat or any questions that you currently have. So please just enter your questions into the control panel on the right side of your screen. We're happy to go over any of the features again. We can deep dive into any specific features that you have questions on. We're ready to get started. So enter your questions, and looks like we have a few questions already.
All right, so let me see here. It looks like we have some questions in here, and the first question will be, can you please show us how to remove an employee or a client?
Thank you, Mike. So in order for us to do that, the first thing that we need to do will be to actually go to the people section here. And depending on what we want to, what type of user we want to remove, right? We go to that section. So for clients, it's going to be quite simple, right? You'll see that I have plenty of clients here. So it's just a matter of selecting them, right? And then click on delete selected, right? So this will completely delete this user, right? Notice that we get a confirmation notification there, and that's it. So for employees, it's going to be pretty much similar, right? Slight differences. So as you see right now, I'm in the browse employee section, and over here, what I'm going to do will be to basically just go to the far right on the little gear icon, click there, right? And here, I'll have different options to follow if I want to delete this employee. The one that I should use if I want to make sure that this employee is gone from the system is select this one, delete from the system, right? You're gonna notice that ShareFile is gonna ask you to move or assign the files and groups owned by this employee to somebody else. By default, it's gonna be pointing those files and groups owned now to me, right, as the account owner. And I'm gonna click on delete there. And there you go. Once this is done, you're going to get the reassignment successful message on the top right-hand corner. And that's how you can, remove a client and an employee user. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jose. So now we have this other question that says, when you do remove someone, what happens to the files they were assigned to?
Excellent. Yeah. So to answer that question, actually, and just following that example that I just showed you, something that's going to happen is that the user that shows up there, right, on the previous screen, is going to receive the other person's files, right, and also the group's own by that person. So if I go to here to my shared folders, I should see there you go. The folder, right, that should contain all of the employees files that I have just deleted, right? So this assignment happens only when you deleted an employee, right? And you picked up a different one to take on the files from that user. Mhm.
Uh, all right, thank you. We have some other one that says something about if we are going to go through the right signature application. Actually, this is going to be just a ShareFile training, and we are not going to cover other products. But we will try to make you to go to the ShareFile, and you can put into right signature on the magnificent glass, and you're gonna get some information about the product. But then we're gonna have some other questions here. The next question will be, when receiving a file, is there a way to change default in Outlook from file box to the personal folder using either Citrix ShareFile admin console or group policy or any other way?
Thank you for the question, Mike. Let me just bring up my Outlook here, just a second. Mhm. So, yeah, okay. Once you get the Outlook plugin application installed on your computer, you will have the option to set the default location for receiving files whenever you are requesting a file. So um, you can go to the options button here from the home view, right? And here you will notice that we have different sections. So on the requesting file section, we click on edit, right? And notice that as Michael mentioned, the default location is the file box, right? So if we want to change that, we should just click on edit, right? And looks like it's just having an issue here. Um, yeah, what it should show here is the different locations that you can pick them, right? And then you will be able to change that to, a different setting, right? Let me see if you can do this at to set it as a default value here on the Outlook plugin, or you can do this at an individual message level, right? So when you're creating a new mail, let me just open up here. Okay, so when you're creating an email, you also have that option here. So if I want to select a different location to collect that file when I'm requesting a file, I'm just going to click on the drop down from the message tab, right, on when I'm creating a new email. Use custom settings, and then on the next screen, I should be able to select here on edit the different location, right? So this is the page that you will see as well on the general button that I showed you previously, right? So over here, you will be able to, just pick the personal folders if you want to, right? Or share folders if you want to. Just remember that you should be able to see here only all folders that you have access to, right? So by doing this, I'm just changing the default location here on this message, or again, if you do it from the previous screen, you should be able to do it and set it up as a default value on your Outlook plugin. Mhm. There you go.
All right, thank you. We have some other question here that says, can you please explain how to use the workflow?
All right, excellent. Thank you. So the workflows, we have different types of workflows here, Sharefall. It depends on what do you want to achieve. So let me go and walk you through the workflow section. So you will see that these are on the left panel, right? So we have many of them. Um, I'm gonna click on feedback and approval. You'll see that when I click on any of them, I will be brought back to a different page where I should be able to see the ones that I have already initiated or the ones that I'm part of. And you will see the status of them, right? You can see that some of them are approved, some are in progress. So I'm gonna click on initiate new. Now, over here, I'm going to explain you the difference of them. So get approval, it's the one workflow that is set for you to collect feedback in approval from different participants, right? So when you are initiating one of these type of workflows, what you are basically looking for is to gather feedback from different members, right, that you will be adding to this workflow. And also some of them, you can add them as approvers, right? So you will see that on the right side of the screen, I have a place where I can just drop a file, right, or browse for a file. So it is important to know that these two um, workflow types will be based on a document, right? So the first one will be for you to basically, as I said, um, get people to approve something like a draft document or anything like that. And the other one, the collect feedback, is basically pretty much the same, but only the only difference is that you are not setting up approvers, right? So it's basically just to collect feedback on any specific file, right? The third option will be create a request list. And this one is a little bit different because basically this is for you to create kind of like a task management system. So you will have different criteria to create task and then to assign someone as the task owner, right? I'm going to show you the ones that I got here created so you can have a better idea and understanding. So as you can see, some of them are feedback and approval. And I'm going to open up this one. You will see that this one was initiated by me, right? And it was based on this document. So this feedback and approval will basically allow the users that are working on this specific document to just, place comments, as you can see here, right? Um, and whoever you set as an approver will be able to, at the end, like check it as resolved, right? Or just set it as a proof. This one is a little bit old, but just wanted to show you an example of the feedback and approval, right? It is quite simple. You will get a track on all the activity here, right? So if there are more users there, you should be able to see all of the activities that they had done. And also each one of the members of this workflow will have a different color, right? So you can see that as an example, this user test has this purple icon, and myself, I'm with the pink one. So I initiated this workflow, and at the end, the user in purple was the one that actually just placed some comments, and at the end, it approved it, right? So you will see different options here, like annotations. So you will be able to actually check individually on each one of them, right? Now, the other type of workflows that we have here is, let's check on this one. This one is called financial tasks. This one is a request list. So as you can see, this will allow you to create a different list of tasks that you can, just have here, right? You can click on add task or import from Excel, right? Um, you have a way to set up a due date, a description, a category, and then add an assignee, right? Once you get an assignee on any of the tasks that you just add there, and I'm gonna just add my coworker here. There you go, to show you. You can then select that task and click on publish, right? When you publish a task, then that's the moment when the task actually goes to that person that you assign it to. So now if I go, remember, I'm, remaining here at the financial task view. So I'm just moving out to the different tab, right, which is publish task. And now you can see here that, well, I have already published different tasks from this specific workflow, right? And the one that I just published, it's here. And you're going to notice that you will have different status right? Depending on each one of the tasks and the person that has been assigned to them. So you will see as an example, there will be some of them overdue, right? In red, there will be some of them that have some documents, right? And as an approver, I'm able to perhaps select one of them that is in process, click on approve, right? So there you go. Even though that one was already overdue, I approve it. So it's basically a way for you to keep track on tasks that you have assigned to your group, right? The good thing about this kind of workflows is that either the request list and the feedback and approval type of workflows is that you can add clients, right, in different categories. Like you can add them as an administrators of these workflows, right, or approvers, right, and they will have that option to collaborate with you and work with you on keep tracking of tasks, or just providing feedback and approving some of the files that you might have there. Mhm.
All right, thank you, Jose. Then we have, can there be more than one master admin?
Yes, hi. So yes, there's only one account owner, right, which is usually known as a master admin. So in order to check who's that person, you go to the settings. You have to be an administrator and you should have some admin account privileges. So you go to the admin settings, and then here on admin overview, you should see who's the account owner, right? Um, when we talk about master admin, we usually refer or want to refer to the account owner, right? However, there are different types of rights that can be granted to an employee, so that that employee will be able to perform different admin tasks, right? As an example, let me just go here to the people section and show you. Hmm, I'm gonna I'm gonna check on my coworkers Michael's permissions, right? So if I scroll down to the user access part or section here, you should see that there are different settings. Like at this very moment, Michael has them all. So he has like, kind of like a master admin level, right? The important section here, or the important access that he should have is this one, right? Access company account permissions. This is especially important for those customers that are or that they want to activate new cloud type licenses for ShareFile. So they should be migrating from SMB to enterprise and doing a flip on the type of licenses that they have. Um, if you want to have one of your employees completing that process, just make sure that on your ShareFile account you have granted this permission, right? This is something that is required, right, for them to do that process. So yes, and then as you can see, there will be many different rights that should be granted to an employee if you want to, take them to the master admin level, pretty much. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Then the next one will be, can you please review the clone access option and when you will use that?
Okay, so the clone access is a feature that we have whenever we're creating a new user, right? So I'm gonna just go to the people, right? Click on browse clients. Let's say that I'm going to create a client here. So I'm just gonna create a client. And now, hmm, okay, let's just, I'm creating a new user, right? This is a client that I have been working with in the past. So I know that this new user for this company, right, needs to have the same pretty much access that I have already granted to someone that belongs to the same company. So I want to make sure that this user will have or will be added to the same folders, right? And so what I'm going to do will be to just add this user, pretty much as you will be doing with any user, right? And then here on the step 3, right, I have this option that is called copy folder access from existing user, right? So again, if being the scenario that I want to add this user, John, right, this client, and I want to make sure that he will have the same folder access as another client. In this case, I'm going to use my peer Tatiana, right? So what I will do will be to just look for the user that I want to take as a reference to clone the access from, and then just select it from here. And there you go. By just selecting this and copy, I'm going to make sure that this user gets created. And from this moment and on, he will have the same folder access as the user that I selected here, in this case, Tiana. When I click on create and continue, it's going to be just a matter of me to go through the next step, which is confirming the message that is going to be sent to this specific user, and then click on notify, just to send the invitation, right? You will get the invitation sent successfully message on the top right hand corner. And there you go. That's the easiest way to actually add a new user, cloning the folder access from another user.
All right, thank you for your answer, Jose. Then we have the next question will be, can you please review how to create a report?
Thank you, Michael. So yes, let me show you that you have to be an admin type user with admin rights on reporting, right? And let's go on the left panel under settings, admin settings. Mhm. And then company account information. You should see that there below we have a section called reporting, right? So we will go there. And over here we can, create a new report, right? So you will see here that right now I have some recurring reports over here, right? And then I have recent reports. So um, depending on what you want to do, you might need to create like an ad hoc report or just a recurring report. Regardless, I'm going to click on create report here, and then I need to select the criteria which I'm going to base this report on. So we have different types or different criteria for the report. So I can, make a usage report so I can check on what's going on, what kind of actions have been taking place within my whole account, right? Access, to review access and permissions for a specific account, user, or folder, right? Access change, storage details, there are different types of reports that you can pull out from the system. For this demo, I'm gonna use the most common use, which is the usage report. Click on next. Over here, you can, place a specific name on this report if you want to, right? And you can set in a specific time range for this report, right? I'm gonna leave it with default values, and you can see that you can base this on an entire account, on a specific user. So if you do that, you need to, enter the person's name or email address, right? In this particular case, you see that as I type letters, I'm gonna get some results there. So there you go. If you want to base this report in a folder, you pick up folder, and then you should have the option here to navigate through the folders that you have access to, right? So that's another one. I'm gonna, base it on the entire account. Now you can select what kind of activity are you interested in getting on this specific report, right? So by default, I have everything selected. So I have login, move, download, view, restore, upload, create notes, create folders, etc. So basically, all types of activity taken on this account will show up on this report, right? Now, over here is where you can select if you want to make this an ad hoc or a recurring report, right? This is because if you want to, I don't know, get like a weekly report on activity, on Shareful activity, you can do so, right? Now, just to show you something here, notice that if I click on recurring, the button here, instead of create, is going to change to next, right? Because on the next step, I will be asked to pick up a folder where I want those recurring reports to be saved on, right? So just for you to know, this is the best way to create a recurring report, right? Let's create an ad hoc one, okay? And lastly, you have to select the format for this report, right? So we have Excel, click on create. There you go. You see that it's going to start loading. It's on pending status right now. And once it's ready, it's going to show up the little check next to it. You just click on the name, and you will be downloading an Excel file. Okay. So let me just show you here. And there you go. This is the report that was created where you will be able to see activity, the user that was doing the activity, and then different information. Mhm. Thank you.
All right, so thank you very much. And then we have this other question that says, um, can you please show us how to mass create users via the Excel spreadsheet option and maybe mention the user management tool briefly during the create or using a demonstration portion?
Okay, yes. So if you want to create or add multiple users to your account, either clients or employees, the best way to do that will be to actually just go to, well, either browse clients or employees, right? Um, you can just click on create client here, right? And you're gonna notice that you can, add them individually, pretty much as I did earlier, or you can click on the need to import multiple users with Excel, right? You're gonna then get this pop-up window with the link to download the template spreadsheet, right? Once you click in there, you're gonna be pretty much downloading this template, and the template will show you how to fill out the this Excel document, right? So you will see the please leave. This is important. Please leave the column headers, right? But then you just need to enter the email address, first name, last name, company, right? So once you have done that, you save this document locally, and then it's just a matter of picking up the file here and click on import users, and then the users will show up here. Mhm.
All right, so thank you very much. And with this, well, we are going to finish our session. But before, I would like to give you a couple of reminders. You can still download the handout for all the reference resources we went through. Also, there will be a survey that comes up after closing the session. If you could please spend a minute and give feedback, we will appreciate that. And please remember there are more other sessions about the admin and end user training for ShareFile weekly for other employees to join. So this is what we have for you today. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the day.